use the term throughout the document of village for Portchester. And it's always interesting to see how we define a village. Of course, Portchester has, from memory, about 6,000 houses in it. So Portchester village, of course, certainly in the context of Wellbourne Garden Village, seems to have a very certain ring to it as well. Because if 6,000 homes in Portchester constitutes a village, then of course 6,000 homes in Wellbourne do precisely the same. An excellent document, from my point of view as well. One always fears when something is put together by committee, as it has been, that it won't actually be that wonderful. Something that looks remarkably like a camel, but fortunately this doesn't. And it's a great deal of work I know has gone into it, and as Councillor Evans said, a fairly amicable set of meetings and conclusions to which everybody appears to have been able to sign up. But I think it's right to underline the point that Councillor Walker made, that of course there is no money, certainly public money, to see this vision developed, because the land or buildings which we're seeking to improve don't belong to the local authority, in fact don't belong to the public sector for the most part. So it is going to be a challenge working, as Councillor Walker said, with landlords who aren't actually there, and providing they get their rent. I don't imagine they're necessarily terribly worried about what it looks like. But of course, if we do start getting voids within that centre due to the success of Lidl, which I know was a fear, and was certainly something which was outlined through the planning process, that might well happen, then of course that could be a real trigger to the landlords to sit up and take notice, because if they start losing tenants, then they're losing rent. So maybe some significant investment on behalf of the landlords could bring about what we hope the residents would like to see, as well as what the councillors clearly want to see there. So, Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I mean, I welcome this document. Being a resident of Portchester many years ago, it's about time that we actually sort of rejuvenated a bit. But really, I'd just like to, I think Councillor Evans made all the points really, but I think the member working group did a superb job, and really to congratulate our officers also, because it really is a superb document, I think, and very happy with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Evans Bell.
I think everything's really been said about the input into this document, but I would just like to echo, it is a superb document. It is so easy to read, and I've already had members of the public phoning us and emailing us saying it's so easy to understand, they're engaging with it already. But as you say, this is about working in partnership with Hampshire County Council, businesses and landowners, and that's going to be the challenge going forward to sort of make this vision come into some sort of reality eventually. But yes, a superb document, and happy for it to go to consultation.
Thank you. Councillor Ms. Harper.
I think it's a very exciting document, and I look forward to actually seeing it put through. I also have concerns about the private landlords who are trying to pull together. And I hope hopefully it does do as we hope. But we do have to be mindful that not all landlords will want to invest as we do.
Okay, thank you. Right, Councillor Evans to round up.
Just a couple of comments on the Councillor's deputations. I thank them for their comments. It's not often deputies come here, they actually come here to congratulate us, but I thank them for the comments. Just a couple of replies. In terms of Councillor Walker, who was talking about HCC's willingness to work with us, in the past we have had some difficulties with the county in terms of them retaining their arms around what they've got. In this particular case, we've had a fairly positive response from them in terms of them being quite willing, excluding selling any land to us, not that we want to buy any, but excluding that, willingness to work with us to look at any directions we'd like to move in, and even to the extent of offering us, for a fee, some design input if we want it. So that's a positive step, because that means we can look fairly broadly at what could be done and start looking at this in a way without the fear that the county can turn around and say no. I don't think the county is looking to put money into this, but that they're willing to work with us. In terms of the members signing off on the document, we did discuss this in the working group, and I said no to that. I reminded the working group that the purpose of the working groups were there to discuss anything, to reject anything, to get angry over anything. It was my job to pull them together and produce a report with recommendations, and if they didn't like that, they could then criticise. So, having acknowledged this comes from the working group, and it does reflect what we discussed, I think it is a report from within the portfolio to the executive. And in terms of the South Car Park that Councillor Cunningham mentioned and the design document, I will talk with the Director, Richard, and to see whether maybe that's something that could be included in some of the static displays, unless there's a specific reason. So I can't recall why we didn't actually want to put that in the public domain at this stage, but we will do that.
Right, thank you. And the recommendation is to agree the draft regeneration vision for Portchester and go out to public consultation. Agreed.